Yo, yo, what's the deal? All praise be to the Most High God. You already know how we rocking and how we coming, you feel me? Put this on this age. And we gonna get into some meaningful dialogue. Can we get into some meaningful dialogue? That's what I want to do, man. I don't want to create any additional problems. Jay Jeezy, what's the dinner now, man? Hey, y'all forgive me, man. I know it's a little dark. But the purpose of this live, so we can explore a few things, highlight a few things, elucidate a few things, and disambiguate some other things. Um, Pretty sure all of you are aware of the brewing in a minority conflict that has resurfaced throughout Los Angeles County and a large portion of Southern California. We're going to get into that. Let me get into somewhere where you can see me and you can hear me. And we're going to dialogue and we're going to get into this. Let's dialogue and get into a few things. I want to highlight a few things. If you don't mind, man, I ain't got that polo thing on. Polo P coat. If you don't believe it, you ain't going to see too many people with this on. Oh, let me do this. So, as many of you may know, what up, my bro? All love is always. That's my partner, Reckless Podcast. Reckless, what is the deal, my brother? How are you feeling? How are you and the family? I send my love, I send my respect, and I salute you. Before we get into tonight's broadcast, I want to send a major shout out to Red Supreme. I want to send a major shout out to Hoover Gumby, Spody Face, and last but definitely not least, the Viral Way Podcast and Mr. Viral himself. Shout out to anybody and everybody everywhere that has spoken up. It's a brother from out of Minneapolis that has also weighed in on the inner minority conflict that is currently brewing in Los Angeles County, specifically Los Angeles County, but throughout all Southern California. You know, it's always like a raging forest fire, these type of things, as it pertains to us in a Latino, Chicano, Mexicano community. Marvelous Inc. took himself, who's a student of us. Bandy Anime says, nice glasses, broder. Thank you, thank you. So I'm pretty sure we all aware of Marvelous Inc. moseying his way over to the Viral Way podcast to be somewhat of an agent provocateur. And in his attempt to instigate and further separate two people that's already separated by ideology, philosophies, and culture, he said some very controversial, fallacious, and inflammatory things. And we're going to address that. And I'm gonna show you why it is important. Let me let you see my eyes on this one. Hopefully this motherfucker don't go caca. I'm gonna tell you why it's important not to allow any and everybody to come and be a student of your culture. The Greeks, when they migrated back to Africa, they stopped in Egypt. Egypt was a thriving civilization, but the Egyptians had got their game, had got their information, knowledge, wisdom, and understanding from the Kemetic Empire, Kemet. The Kemics got their game, knowledge, wisdom, and understanding from another African or Abyssinian or Akubulan empire. It's all recycled knowledge to a degree. When the Greeks went there, they were fascinated, they were enamored with music, which originated in Africa, Aquabulan, Abyssinia, right? Music we have mastered, we created. They were fascinated with medicine, we mastered, we created. It also was something that was practiced regularly in Aquabulan or Abyssinia or throughout the Kemetic Empire. So we got music that they were fascinated with. Music, math, meditation, medicine, and math, arithmetic, as well as philosophy. They went there. They were students, but they weren't just students. They was something a little bit more sinister than students. They were double agents. They were infiltrators. They went, they learned. They went back to their region, and you know what they did? They gave themselves credit for everything that they learned in Aquabulan. They gave themselves credit for everything that they learned in Africa. They gave themselves credit for everything that they learned in Abyssinia, and they painted it and depicted it as if it was their intellectual property and something that originated within it. They copied. Not only did they copy, they plagiarized. And we see this now with Marvelous Inc. He made the, I wish I was on there. He made the comment, oh, I'm teaching you fools, or I'm teaching you guys history. You're teaching a watered down, distorted version of our history that fits your narrative and your purpose. See, people, they study our history. It's like studying the Bible, and you manipulate it to make your people look superior or to give you a superior stance over the people who you are teaching. Marvelous Inc., we're not going to play that. Because even if we go back, all the way back, how far you want to go back? Because the further you go back, the more you see blacks. The people that you identify as the ethnic group, the nationality that you categorize and classify yourself as being, isn't a real people. It's a mixed people who are influenced by carbonated copper tone people. But when y'all came into contact, and this is always a thing, we teach them, we allow them to learn with us, but they take the information that we teach them and they personalize it as if it originated from them. This guy said that his people was there with our people when hip hop was created. Imagine that. But that's what we get because we don't safeguard. We don't gatekeep what's rightfully ours. And we open ourselves up for continual infiltration. No more. You cannot continue to plagiarize our history and present it as if it's yours. Now let's take it from a biblical standpoint. In the Bible, it says that the Most High, whoever you consider to be your Most High, whether it's a he or a she, I don't believe that God has a gender. I try my best not to refer to my God as a he. I try my best not to refer to my God as a she. Why? Because he indicates that that entity has a male reproduction organ. A penis is what makes a man, a boy, a guy, a he, a he. The reproduction organ. Now let's take the female. A female is a she, a her, a woman, a lady, a girl, so on and so forth, because she has a female reproduction organ. So if God can say, let there be light and let there be this and let there be this, why would God need a penis to create? Why would God need a vagina to give forth birth? God is, in my opinion, this is me, Bobby Yeye Jones, God is neither a he nor a she. God is the entity that's there. It just be. It is what it is. Even in the Bible, when Moses went to Mount Sinai and met with this entity and said, who are you? What are you known by? Or what should we call you? What do we refer to you as? I am who I am. I am the great I am. God is the great I am. God is. So when we try to effeminate or feminilize or give masculinity to God, that's not what God is. God is neither, in my opinion, God is neither a man nor a woman. But let's get back on topic. In the Bible, it says that the Most High God created Adam from the ground, the soil. God crafted him from the ground. In Africa, what color is the ground? Now, if you take that soil in Africa or anywhere else and you mix it with water, what color is mud? Let's start there. So God crafted man, grafted man, created man from the soil of the earth. Have you ever seen soil that look like what these individuals proclaim and say that they are? No, you have not. When you take soil, whether it's brown, dark brown, whether it's red, clay brown, and you mix it with water, it becomes a darker version of itself. Okay. Homo sapiens have been documented to have originated in Africa over 700,000 years ago. When you do the research of a Homo sapien, they say that the Homo sapiens was a copper-complected people. 70,000 years ago, the Homo sapiens began to migrate out of Africa. Some of the first places that they migrated to was Asia, other parts of Africa, down to Australia. When they got to Australia, they isolated. That's why their genes have remained the same for a long duration of time. We call these individuals, that's the original inhabitants of Australia, Aboriginals. They migrated to Asia, where they left their mark. 30,000 years ago, these Homo sapiens that has been documented and proven to be black, they crossed over into what is called the Americas. We're talking about the Homo sapiens that migrated into Asia. We're not talking about the Homo sapiens that migrated to Europe, South America. We're just following the trail of the Homo sapiens that migrated to Asia, the ones who would become the ancestors, the ascendants of today's whatever the brother Marvelous Inc. considered himself to be. These individuals crossed the Barren Strait and they migrated south. And those are the ancestors of what these individuals proclaim and say that they are. But if you trace the lineage back, if you trace the genealogy back, it all goes back to what? Africa, Abyssinia, Akubulan, Akubalu, you know what I'm talking about, that. So no matter how you shape it, form it, try to reshape it or reform it, everybody originates from the continent of Africa. So essentially everybody is black. So yay, how did other people come into existence? A mutated gene called albinism. So when these people talk about this and I'm Caucasian, I'm this, that, and third, you're a mutant. Your ancestors were mutant that came from a mutated gene, and that mutated gene produces a person that lacks melanin, and they call them albinos. See, when we allow people to come into our culture, observe, and play as if they're students, we allow them the power to steal, to plagiarize, and try to repackage, rebrand, and submit this to the masses as if it is theirs. This dude went as far as saying that they were there in the inception and co-created hip-hop. That's a fallacy. That's not right, my misinformed brother. So you can study our history, you can water it down, you can distort it, but those of us who know, there's no way for you to rebuttal. And see, what he'll try to do is say, oh, but Hebrew Israelites, and man, we going deeper than Hebrew Israelites, because even Hebrew Israelites, they trace their lineage back to where? Africa. They always try to find a way to discredit us. They always try to find a way to infiltrate and plagiarize. No more. We're not doing that anymore. The first inhabitants, and I don't give up what they say, the first inhabitants of what we call Central, South America, and North America, or the Turtle Islands, is individual who is melanated, carbonated. They always work in conjunction with the Europeans to try to discredit us, to try to berate us, to try to put us down. It's a continual thing. Even when they talk about Darasa, do y'all know what Darasa means? Google it, research it. Darasa was a mixed community of indigenous melanated carbonated individuals, the Asiatic Indians, the descendants of the people who came here. How would you call it? You had the Asians that came over here, whose ancestors are melanated carbonated, right? They came over here. The northerner ones in Canada and Alaska, they call Inuit peoples, they call Eskimos. Then they migrated further south. Those ones are called Indians, so on and so forth. And then, you know what I mean, all this and all that. But these people were so obsessed with the culture that they wanted to be taught by blacks. So the blacks said, come on in. We got you. We will house you. We will feed you. We will teach you. The blacks accepted them. When they were able to befriend the blacks, they learned all their secrets. They learned about the constellation, philosophy, agriculture, how to build cities, how to create functional governments, and all this and all that. When the Caucasians came over here, I'm telling you about the Rasa. This is how the Rasa was created. The black aboriginals, or the black melanated carbonated, well, you can't even say black. Black was a term that was created many hundreds of years later. But getting back to what I was saying, like astrology, fathers of medicine, astrology, same thing that was going on in Africa was going on over here. We taught them. They were students of the game. They didn't want to be up under our tutelage anymore because they feel like, well, he taught me how to ride a bike. I don't want to ride the bike at his speed no more. I want to be able to accelerate. I want to go and do this and do that. They don't want to be up on our tutelage anymore. So when the Europeans came over here, the Europeans said, listen, we don't want any war with y'all. We want to interbreed with y'all. We want to give y'all trinkets and ornaments and preferential treatment. But what we need y'all to do is to turn y'all backs on those blacks. We here to eradicate the blacks and give the land to y'all. We're here for y'all. All you have to do is embrace our religion, which they also stole from Ethiopia. The first basis of Christianity was created in Ethiopia thousands of years before the Europeans even knew what it was. Religion, philosophy, astronomy, astrology, all this come from Africa. See, that's where it becomes a problem, because it's a problem because not many of us search and try to research our true identity. So it's easy for a dude like Marvelous Inc. to go on the viral way or come on the internet and start regurgitating recycle information about us that's rooted in fallacies, myth, and bullshit. This dude don't understand our culture. He doesn't understand our history. He doesn't understand who we are as a people, because if he did, he would submit and shut the fuck up and hold his peoples accountable for all the atrocities, all the brutality, all the atrocious acts that they have inflicted upon us. So we don't want to hear that shit, man. We don't want to hear from you about who we are, your people, or anybody that look like you. When it comes to us, man, shut the fuck up and continue to be a student. That's what we want you to do. For you to condescendingly come on and say, well, I'm teaching you fools history. You don't even know our history, big dog. You barely know your fucking history. So this is what I'm gonna do. Somebody said Marvelous the molester. Yeah, a few people reached out to me in regards to that. Hispanics. A few Hispanics reached out to me in regards to the situation with Lucky. And they said a few things about Marvelous and all this and all that, but I won't bring it to the internet. My baby love 13 says exactly 100. But we gonna get into this, man. Once I get off Wizard, man, we gonna dissect the things. We gonna disambiguate a few things. We gonna elucidate on a few things, and we gonna get some clarity, man. You know what I mean? See, these individuals like to learn a little bit about our people and add some shit that the Europeans taught them about our people and introduce that shit as new concepts, their concepts, but it's all bullshit. We don't want to hear that shit. Bobby Marvelous in the chat. It's good that he's in the chat. Maybe he can sit down and be quiet and learn some shit, because that shit that he pulled on a Viral Way podcast, that condescending, pretentious type of attitude, no, fuck that. You don't know who the fuck we are. You barely know who the fuck your people is. So how you gonna speak on my people and you don't have a true knowledge of self? And that's one of the elements in the fundamentals of hip hop. Knowledge of self, knowledge of true self. So you don't come on here and say a motherfucking thing about hip hop because y'all have no contributions to hip hop except y'all trying to plagiarize it. That's why we got to keep people up out our shit. We allowed them to start rapping. We allowed them to emulate, replicate, and imitate what we did, and now they're trying to claim it for themselves. What's your contribution to hip hop other than being consumers and imitators? That's it, that's all. Y'all ain't contributed a motherfucking thing to hip hop. Everything we do, they want to take. Everything we do, they want to take and they want to make it for themselves. Oh, fuck that. Enough is enough, man. We need to gatekeep. We need to keep what's for us, for us. And some people say, oh, well, what about basketball? Black people didn't start basketball. He's a motherfucking lie. Do you know where the concept of basketball come from? The Aztecs. But an individual like Marvelous said, oh, well, the Aztecs were our people. You motherfuckers is not descendants of the Aztecs, nor the Mayans. Both of these indigenous aboriginal people who were persecuted, who were tried, and who were beaten, and who were unalive by the Spanish were melanated, carbonated people. Stop the lies. Even if you do research, even if you start to study who the Mayans and who the original Aztecs are, they look more like me than they look like Marvelous. So they can get all these tattoos and all this and all that, and they can, no, that's not your people. So when we talk about basketball, the concept for basketball comes from the Aztecs. When they had these little goals and they'd throw the ball through the goal and so on and so forth, the white people studied what they were doing or studied the sporting events that they had down there. And instead of having a goal like this, they turned it like this. So now you shoot the ball through the goal. It's innately in us. It's ours. Why do you think we reign superior? Why do you think we excel in it? Because it's our shit. Now they say, oh, we're black exhaust, African American exhaust. They're trying to blackwash all this and all that. Listen, dog. We know the complexion of Jesus, but yet he was whitewashed. We know the complexion of other saints. We know the complexion of other historical beings from religious books and just from history within itself, and they whitewashed. We don't need to blackwash a motherfucking thing. Because when you do your extensive studying, it shows and it proves that the original man was black. So if the original man was black and the original woman was black, that means at one point in time, everybody was what? Black. And everybody else, if you want to be technical, if we are the original, and if we are the cream of the crop, if we are the undiluted version of everybody else, come from a mutated gene called albinism, where they lack rhythm, they lack strength, they can't stand in the sun for too long. That makes everybody else what? Starts with an I. Starts with an I. But we ain't gonna even get into that because this isn't us versus all Hispanic, Chicanos, and Latinos. These are the ones that's trying to take our shit and brand it as being theirs. This is for the racist ones who imitate every fucking thing that we do, but say that they hate us. See, Marvelous went on a Viral Way podcast and showed his motherfucking ass and showed he ain't that much different from his Caucasian ancestors. They came to lie, steal, destroy, rape, and pillage the land. Same thing he did, and he smoothly showed his color. Oh, I'm teaching you. Nah, you ain't teaching our history. You teaching a watered down version and a misinterpretation of what you believe our history to be. Because if you understood our history, you wouldn't be on here jaw jacking and running your motherfucking mouth. Marvelous is a man. Come on, big dog. 90% of them is racist. And it's fucked up for the other ones who are not racist because they get confused and mislabeled because of the actions of the 90%. Like the Honorable Malcolm X says, if it's 100 snakes coming my way and they known to bite, do I supposed to say, wait, hold on, which one of y'all don't bite? Like, no, hell no. All of y'all get categorized and classified because the mass majority is venomous. Like, we got to stop playing, man. We got to stop being so kind-hearted, so forgiving to everybody and welcoming to everybody but ourselves. That shit is out. Marvel is a motherfucking lie. This dude done read some books and engaged in a few conversations and topics of discussions and all that, and he feel like he know us. Motherfucker, you don't know us. You don't even know your people. Your people don't even accept you no more. Your people say very disparaging and disrespectful things about you. Who the fuck is you to come on here and try to say anything about my motherfucking people when you ain't even welcome by your own? Help me understand that. The fuck? Coming on here giving the misinterpretation of who we are. You probably know who y'all is, and you can define what a Latino is, and you can make a distinction from a Latino, a Chicano, a Mexicano, and a Spanish and Hispanic and all this and all that. But when it comes to us and our story and who we are as a people, motherfucker, you don't know. You can't comprehend it because the closest thing to God is a black man and woman that's functioning at the capacity that God intended for us to function on. You don't know a motherfucking thing about us, boy. So when it comes to us, do us a favor and keep us the... When it comes to us, Marvelous, do us a favor and keep us the fuck up out your mouth. You may be an expert upon the subject of your people, but you're not an expert upon the subject of my people, our people. That Asa. They like to say that Asa was created by melanated, carbonated people that accepted your people and taught them about the cosmos, the universe. How you think they got the name? When you break it down, it means the cosmic community or the cosmic people or the collective group. Who is the cosmic people? Who is the universal people? Who understood astrology? Who taught the Greeks and the Romans about things, about the celestial bodies that they had no knowledge of, they had no prior knowledge of? We did. So when you talk about the cosmic people, we are and we shall remain the cosmic people. But my people, it's time to wake up and start vibrating on that frequency that God intended for us to vibrate on, because everybody's trying to take our identity. We are the cosmic people. We invited them into our villages and into our townships, into our tribes, and civilized them, taught them that you don't have to be accountable anymore. We have fruits, we have this, we have that. We can teach you how to farm. We can teach you how to do agriculture and cultivate. We can civilize you and teach you. And we've been going all around the motherfucking world doing the same thing. I hope he is in the comments. I hope he is in the chat, because his monkey ass needs to be taught a thing or two. Now tell me I'm lying. These fossils, these remains that they digging up and they running tests on them, they saying, hold on, this is real similar to what we finding over here. It's too much carbon, it's too much melanin in these bones for these people to be mistaken for being, lighter complected, tan, beige, pink, and all this. Somebody just tried to call me, Norby's, you ain't finna disrespect a homegirl. Who being disrespectful to our queens in here? They so obsessed with us that when we having a union of our minds, they want to be included. They witness greatness. They know what they are. They know where they come from, but they still want to be a part of greatness, even if they have to steal it, even if they have to plagiarize, because this isn't even a lie for that. This is a lie for us to understand who we are and how people tried to distort our history to fit their narrative. And if you want to be technical, you know what science won't, you know what their science won't tell you, they won't teach you. You want to know who the Mayans are? The Mayans ain't these Asiatic looking people. The Mayans are still there. The Mayans is in Belize.
The Mayans is in Nicaragua. The Mayans is in certain parts of Costa Rica. The Mayans is in southern parts of Mexico. Southern part of Mexico, Belize, Honduras, El Salvador, Costa Rica. The Mayans are still there. You know what they call them? They call them the Garifuna people. They ain't come there because of slave ships wrecked and all this and all that. They was already there. They had a connection to the Olmecs, and when they constructed the Olmec heads and all this and all that. And we got to know who we are. Because a people who don't have an identity is a people that's easily misled, a people that's easily controlled, a people that's easily negatively influenced. I hope Marvelous is in here. Because now is the time for Marvelous to shut the fuck up and sit the fuck down. We don't need you speaking your false narratives. We don't need your false narration and false account and false or not false, your misunderstanding of who we are. Brother, you don't even know who we are. You barely know who your people are. Tell us who your people is. How is it that your people you don't find your people going past the 1400s? My people go to the beginning of time. So how could we be inferior? How could we be this? Or how can we be less than? Or so on and so forth and all that? That's the European teachings. Because we understand who the true oppressor is. We understand who the true rivals are. Poor little Marvelous. Poor little Marvelous. How dare you, little Marvelous? I'm going to teach your ass a thing or two. My people, it's time to start researching. It's time to start studying. It's time to start eating right. It's time to start treating each other in a better fashion. It's time to start getting more sun. It's time to start meditating. It's time to start exercising. It's time to unlock that God gene that exists in you. You got DNA in you that they call junk DNA because they don't understand it, but it links you to the cosmos. You got things that's in your vessel, in your body, that they only find out of space. You got a direct connection to God, people. When you gonna wake up and see it and start acting in the fashion of a lowercase God, a lowercase G, God? Why you think they poison your food, poison your water, give you cancer, herpes, AIDS, and all these other debilitating viruses and illnesses and all this and all that? Because they understand the day that you understand who you truly are, nobody can conquer you. It was by us being too benevolent, too welcoming, too loving, in which we lost our position of power. Study your history. They say, "Oh, don't look backwards. You can't look backwards." Sometimes you gotta look backwards to fully understand where you come from. Sometimes you have to embrace your past. Sometimes you have to understand your past so you can better exist in your present, which will ultimately becomes your future. Stay blessed, my people. I'm about to get up off this thing, man. Let me see. Deformed Pretty Boy, LA to the Bay. Man, shout out to my Bay Area brethren, man. Tried to say we can't make a claim on rap when in order to, goddamn, I can't even read it because another comment came. Hold on, man, I wish I can read all these comments. Hey, I appreciate the comments, but I can't read not one comment because the other ones is popping up. But hopefully, you know what I mean? Listen, man, we going live at 9 o'clock, 9:30. Excuse me, going live at 9 o'clock, 9:30, something like that. You feel what I'm saying? And we going to get into what we going to get into. Reflecting is a powerful thing. We have to reflect and introspect. It's crazy how these mutated, deformed individuals is trying to dictate and regulate who we are, who we aren't, who we can be and who we cannot be. Why you think the world is out of whack? Because the wrong people is in a position of power. Since they acquired power, man, you got over 1,000 wars, over 1 million battles, over 100 million disagreements that lead to bloodshed. But when we was reigning supreme, when we had the reins of this realm of existence, you didn't have these many wars. You have full functioning and thriving communities, civilized people that begin to teach other people about civilization, cleanliness, spirituality, what is it called? Cosmology, astrology, astronomy, all these tenets of belief come from where we originate from. All life originates from Africa. I don't give a what nobody tell you. The Malay Empire, that's West Africa, they began to make expeditions across the Atlantic. They found shipping lanes. They call them shipping lanes. It's somewhat like a current, just like it's natural currents in the sky with certain birds. They lock their wings and they fly on what they call a jet stream. As above, so below. So if there's natural jet streams in the sky that goes like that, there's natural currents in the ocean. The Malay people, they discovered these things called, shipping lanes or currents, right, in the ocean. And they began to put these vessels on these currents, and it took them to South America. When they jumped off the boat, the melanated carbonated people there bowed before them and praised them and said, "We have been waiting for your return." They called them the people of the sun, the people of God, because they was darker than the ones who was over there in South America. They were a tad bit darker. The ones that came from Africa, they were a tad bit darker, and they began to interact. They began to exchange gifts, knowledge, wisdom, and understanding, and then they began to migrate up. See, their people migrated down. They went from north to south. Our people continuously go from south to north, just like the Nile River. The Nile River is the only river, to my knowledge and to my understanding, that flows from south to north. Every other river flows from north to south. Do your research. Come on, man. You know why? I'm not going to get into that. You know that humans life started in Africa. For humans, plants, everything. It started in Africa because where do you find the most diamonds? Where do you find the most gold? Where do you find the most oil? Where do you find the most natural resources? In Africa. What you think these diamonds, gold, natural resources, crude oil, and all this, where you think it come from? I mean, do your research. Millions upon millions of years of, I love you, Bobby Ye, and all my people, and I love you as well. I love you as well, brother. Hey, but say, man, I gotta go handle some BI. But let's have a conversation tonight, man. We gotta start talking to the brothers who are in these war-torn communities saying that they politicking, but they're perpetuating these wars that does a disadvantage to our community. If you politicking, and I'm gonna ask the same thing tonight. If you're politicking, what's your form of government? If you're politicking, what's your natural resource? Why are we beefing? You're politicking, but you're not operating in the capacity of a politician. A lot of wars happen because of what? Natural resources and land. We don't want you in our land. We want to push you out of the land. Or we like your land and we want to manifest destination. We want to call this thing manifest destination to where we come in and say that your God that we plagiarized and got the concept of God from y'all that we personalized and said our God is this, that, and third, but we got the concept of God from y'all. But our God that we stole from your God says that we can have this land, manifest destination. So we're going to come over here and we're going to push you out of the land. PJs chill, operate, and thrive in the territory that's claimed by the PJs. Same thing with Gray Streets, Bonnie Hunters, Rolling 60s being their hood, their territory, or not even territory, because you got to own a few things, or you got to take a few things, or you got to seize a few things that you lay claims to own, claims of ownership too, right? But within the borders. The Hoovers ain't in 60 hood. The 60s ain't in Hoover hood. The 40s ain't in BPS hood. The BPSs ain't in 30 hood. The 30s ain't in 20 hood. The 20s ain't in West Boulevard hood. The West Boulevards ain't in this people hood. Everybody sticks to their imaginary borders, right? So what are we warring for? We're not fighting over natural resources, whether to distribute them or to seize them from another group of people. We're not producing any natural resources and we're not infringing on each other's borders. So what the fuck is we warring for? To all the politicians out there, to all the niggas that's out there fake politicking, what the fuck is we warring for? When nations war, it's to either dominate, to take land, like I'm telling y'all, to take land or natural resources, or to get people off the land, or to take the land, or to seize land for themselves. We're not doing that. So why the fuck is we allowing these gang wars to continue to destroy and for lack of better words, fuck over our communities? This is a question of all the gang banging politicians that be politicking. You niggas is politicking in vain. We need to start buying up things in the community, and then we can really politic, because we have stake in the what goes on in that community, because we own things. But to all my people, I love y'all. Somebody get this video to Marvelous so that he can understand what true education means, so that he can become acquainted with a black man that has knowledge of self. And I'm not talking about my brothers over at the Viral Way podcast does not have knowledge of themselves. Them is Mr. Viral Way, that's a sharp brother, and I love that brother. Marvelous Inc., now is the time for you to stand down and shut the fuck up. Or what you do, go make amends with your people. Once your people accept you and stop speaking poorly upon you, then you can come and you can try to express what you believe you know about my people and our culture and who we are. As I've told you all before, Chicanos, let's start with the Chicanos, and we can go Mexicanos, period. Because a lot of their foods is inspired by West Africa, because the West Africans brought certain things over here that they give credit to the Spanish for. When I was telling you about the Malay Empire coming over here, it was the Malays that educated the Moroccos, and the Moroccos is the ones who educated the Spanish from Spain, the Portuguese. These were some of the first explorers outside of melanated carbonated people that came over here. The Malay people told the Moroccan people, or the Moorish people, even though most blacks was called Moors back then, right? But they told the Moors, and the Moors had a relationship with the Europeans, and they went and told them. I mean, if we gonna talk and we gonna be honest, the Moors betrayed us. Did y'all know that? The Moors betrayed our people. The Moors put the Europeans in a position of power so that they can dominate, and they made a deal with them. Did y'all know that? Certain things I shouldn't even be speaking on, because it gets deep. It gets into books. It gets into secrets. It gets into oaths. And I'm not here to expose anybody's secrets. I'm not here to expose anybody's oaths that they took that put them against their people. They put their people in a position of being subjugated to the improper leadership of Caucasians. But we can't even say Caucasians for those of us who know, because the original Caucasians is what? And I'm bringing that shit tonight. They always say, oh, these slave people got here by a wreckage or off-course slave boat. She's a motherfucking lie. Everywhere you go where there's black peoples, whether in Asia, well, these black folks got here because of slave imports and the ship got off course or the ship crashed. Damn, is that many crashed motherfucking ships? I'm going to show you what the original Caucasians look like, darker than me. We're going to get into this tonight, man. Y'all stay up. Y'all be blessed. I love y'all. Let's increase the love, baby. Because according to the Bible, love conquers all. We're going to get into it tonight. The Spanish Moors were the ones that came. The Spanish Moors were the ones that came with in before Columbus, yeah, but the Malays preceded them in coming over here. But what a lot of people fail to realize and don't know, it was already melanated, carbonated people over here. They weren't as dark skinned as the Malays, you know what I mean? But it was already black people over here. What the fuck are we talking about? Have you ever seen some of the indigenous peoples or the native people in New Jersey? Man, they darker than me. So when we talk about black natives, there weren't black natives here. Aboriginals. Everywhere you go, the Aboriginal people are dark complected people. So the only place that they give credit to as being the first people in our Aboriginals is Australia. Come on, man. We got to stop playing. We got to wake up, man. Y'all still be blessed, man. It's your player, partner, Bobby WAJ. Somebody send this video to Marvelous Inc., man, so he can stand down and shut the fuck up and go try to make amends with his people before he come and try to speak negatively on our people, giving a false representation of history. That's all they do is distort history. They won't even tell you that Los Angeles was formed and created, the city of Los Angeles was formed and created by melanated people in conjunction with, I guess you would call them descendants of Asia. But over half of the people who came and created Los Angeles was melanated, carbonated people that now they call Afro-Americanos. I bet you didn't know that. I bet Marvelous won't admit that. They still trying to say, we are the Rasa. How you gonna make the Rasa exclusive to y'all? And the original participants and the creators of the Rasa was us. If they took the term the Rasa, if they took that from us, because we invited them, man, imagine what they gonna try to do with hip hop and rap. Oh shit, they already trying to do it. Man, get the fuck out of here. Man, y'all step and be blessed. Man, it's your player partner, Bobby Jay. Too black, too strong. We all we need, we all we got. Let's live in peace before we be forced to rest in it. Too black, too strong, man. I've seen successful black men and women, they don't cry out for the hate or the injustice. They live in their life and wealth as they should. Norbies, is that what your life is about? That's what you live, a hedonistic type of lifestyle to where it's all about fortune and fame? It's not about unity and purpose? Like, get your stupid ass up out of here, homie. Don't nobody give a fuck about that bullshit you talking about, man. I'm gone. Y'all step and be blessed. I'll be back around 9 o'clock or 9:30, and things is gonna get a little dirty.